Good evening and welcome to a new episode of Hala Kuwait. I'm your host Rita Abdo, and for tonight's live episode our team has lined up various interview segments and of course several reports. This evening I'm joined by my colleague Tariq Al-Arian. Good evening, Tariq.
Good evening, Rita. It's a pleasure to be with you tonight right here on Hala Kuwait, and we'd like to welcome all our audience who may be tuning in. You're watching Hala Kuwait. We're coming to you live this evening from the Ministry of Information right here in downtown Kuwait, and I hope everyone out there is enjoying their evening wherever you may be watching tonight's episode of the program. As usual, the camera crew have been very busy filming all around the state of Kuwait. We have a lot of great reports and segments to get to on tonight's episode. Also, we have some distinguished guests who will be joining us right here in the studio very shortly, right here on Hala Kuwait on KTV2, the family channel. And Rita, we have so many segments to get to this evening right here on the program.
That's right, Tariq. Our guests are from different fields this evening. Very exciting things coming up, and there's also a very exciting sport, we can say, with one of our guests that we'll get to know better.
Yeah, that'll be coming up very shortly,
yes.
Plus a lot of other exciting interviews. But this evening, right now, let's get to our first report tonight right here on Hala Kuwait. And we're going to take a look at the Trash Hero campaign. Let's take a look at this campaign. Stay tuned.
Today we are starting another campaign in Kuwait in celebrations in the days towards the days of the celebration of the United Nations Day on the 24th of October. This day we are hand in hand with the young Kuwaitis under our campaign Youth for Climate Change in Kuwait to clean up the Mishrif area. We are hand in hand the United Nations in Kuwait together with the group of the Green Hands in Kuwait, Trash Heroes. We are working together to clean Mishrif, to ensure that recycling is an important approach for a better environment, for fighting climate change in Kuwait. We are strengthening our collaboration together with the Kuwaiti society, with the residents of Kuwait, to ensure and to tell everyone, let's put our hands together in order we make Kuwait much cleaner, much greener, and we fight together climate change. So thanks to all who gathered with us in the Mishrif area, in the diplomatic quarter, behind the UN house in Mishrif area, Sheikh Sabah Al-Ahmed Al-Jaber Al-Sabah house for the United Nations. We thank all who have been together with us here in the campaign, the young Kuwaitis and non-Kuwaitis who are working together with us here now. Thanks to everyone. Let's make Kuwait green, beautiful, and more sustainable. Thank you so much for being with us today.
We are happy to be here helping with the UN House and the UN in cleaning the area, leading to the UN Day event, which is going to focus on youth for climate action. And the message that we're trying to raise is the importance of taking care of the environment and doing what we can as individuals and as volunteer groups and different entities to contribute towards a more sustainable world.
اليوم احنا بنشارك في حملة تنظيف أحد الأماكن في الكويت بدعوة كريمة من بيت الأمم المتحدة مكتب الكويت طبعا، وهذا هدف من أهداف فريقنا في تحقيق أهداف التنمية المستدامة بعناصرها ال17. وبنفس الوقت احنا استغلينا اليوم طبعا 17 أكتوبر وهو يوم الغذاء العالمي، ونعمل حملة توعية بالغذاء الصحي، وشاركنا ببعض الوجبات الصحية صحية طبعا في هذا اليوم استغلالا لوجود مجموعة كبيرة. شكرا جزيلا، وبندعي الجميع طبعا لأنهم يشاركوا في هاي الحملات وهاي المناسبات حفاظا على بيئة الكويت وبيئة بشكل عام. شكرا جزيلا.
اليوم احنا متواجدين في الحملة رقم 38 بالتعاون مع مكتب الأمم المتحدة فرع الكويت وفريق الأيادي الخضراء وترش هيرو كويت طبعا، عشان زيادة التوعية للناس بأهمية المحافظة على البيئة. كتير مهم انه احنا نحافظ على بيئتنا، تكون نظيفة، تكون صحية، خاصة انه احنا السنة 2021 هي سنة الخضروات والفواكه، واحنا اليوم 16 الشهر اليوم العالمي للتغذية. فبتمنى لكم ان شاء الله تحافظوا على البيئة صحية ونظيفة، ونشر هيدا التوعية كجزء من الخدمة المجتمعية. يعطيكم العافية.
Well, we're back right here on Hala Kuwait, and I hope everyone out there is enjoying their evening. Right now, we have with us our first guest tonight, right here in the studio. We have with us Maryam Al Amira, and Maryam is a horse archer and member of the Horseback Archery Center. Good evening, Maryam.
Hello, good evening.
Nice to have you with us right here in the studio.
Thank you for having me and allowing me to shed light on this sport.
It's a pleasure to have you with us. So first off, could you tell us about this sport and how long back does horseback archery go in Kuwait, and when did this very specialized sport first take off, please?
Yes, horseback archery hasn't been around for very long in Kuwait. I would say 5 to 6 years ago. Maybe a lot of viewers won't even recognize that this sport is even here in Kuwait.
Yes.
So I would say 5 to 6 years ago it's established here in Kuwait.
Okay, so what is this sport exactly for our audience who may not be familiar what it is? Horseback archery.
Right.
Because I know archery is another kind of sport, and horseback riding. So tell us what it is exactly.
Well, from the name, it's archery on the back of a horse.
Okay.
So we use usually a traditional bow, and it's different from the Olympic bow because there's nothing on the bow. It's very traditional, and it's nice to bring back this old heritage and revisit this experience and live it again.
Okay. So how is that? You're like on the horse, and then you stop, and then you shoot the bow. How? Tell us.
It's on the horse completely loose. We're not even touching the reins, and the horse is going off in a very high speed, and we try to get our targets.
Okay.
With a moving target, basically.
Okay.
Because you're moving on the horse. Yes.
Amazing. So why horseback archery specifically, and when did you start showing interest in archery in general? Tell us about yourself. How you got involved in this activity, please.
Right. Prior to starting horseback archery, I always loved going to the shooting range, and I used to go shooting guns and everything, and I always had an interest in horseback archery. So when I saw the opportunity, it combined the both. Also, I had interest in horse riding, so it combined the both for me. And this sport allowed me to have a lot of confidence in my horse riding skills because it requires a lot of skill and a lot of confidence in your riding.
Yeah, I'm sure you must be a very good rider to be able to do these two things at one time, correct?
You're right. It actually helped me to even better my riding skills.
Okay, so you know, initiatives like this are always a bit difficult. What obstacles and challenges did you have to go through in your pursuit to spread this sport locally, and how did you overcome these challenges, Maryam?
You're right. A lot of people may view this sport as challenging or dangerous or anything, but in Horseback Archery Center we provide the safety measures and we provide everything for the rider to experience this sport. It's a very nice sport, and that's why I'm here on today's show to shed even more light.
Promote it a little bit,
yeah, to shed even more light on on this sport. So hopefully with more interviews and more light being shed on this, the sport will be well known in Kuwait and people will love to join it, I'm sure.
I'm sure that would be a
Yes.
nice thing to do. So, does horseback archery, the center here, provide trainees with all their needs during the training courses? And
Absolutely.
tell us about the training courses. Tell us about the center, what takes place in detail, please.
Of course, yes. Horseback Archery Center provides everything for the rider, from the bows to the arrows to the safety measures to the arena. Everything is prepared for the rider to enjoy the sport. Our course in horseback archery is about 15 sessions. So the rider, by the end of the course, will be able to fully practice this sport and accomplish great things, hopefully. So people are very welcome to come and join us, especially females. I would love to have and see more sport, because as far as I know, I was the first female woman to ever participate in the first competition held last April. So I really wish to see more females and women
Tell
trying
us
this.
more now about this. I mean, you said earlier you're on the horse with the bow and so forth, and there's targets.
Right.
So what do you mean by targets, and what is it? You go through an obstacle course, or tell us more
Well,
about it.
in Horseback Archery Center, we have a circular arena. So we go in a circular, and we have 3 targets. So once you enter with your horse completely not holding your reins, you'll start focusing on your targets and try to get them. The good thing about this sport is it really teaches you how to get your targets, because it's having a still target is different than having a moving target. It's completely different and it's more challenging, and that what makes this game a lot more fun. So I really hope people try this. And
Are there any like solid figures on the number of horseback archery practitioners? Anything that you'd like to say about that?
Yeah, well, based on the first competition held last April, there was about 25 participants. I'm sure the numbers are increasing now because people are hearing a lot more about this sport. And I really hope to see
And
more
what about the
females,
equipment for this? How is the equipment? Is it brought from abroad? Is it expensive? Tell us more
Well,
about
there's
it.
stores here in Kuwait that sell traditional bows and arrows. Personally, I take them from abroad. I buy them from abroad, and it's not that hard to find everything you need for this sport, because there's stores here in Kuwait that provides it.
So tell us about the people running the center and what the center is all about and services that are offered. A little bit more about that, please.
Yeah, the main coach in our center is Mr. Naif Al-Harbi. He's an amazing coach, and he's willing to teach people from all age groups and genders to participate in this sport, and he's very passionate about this sport. And he's an amazing coach, so I really advise everyone to come and visit us.
That's
yes.
great. So tell us more about it. Where is it, and location, everything?
Well, Horseback Archery Center is in Al-Wafra. Location and everything could be shared once the rider contacts us. And it's not that hard to find the place, and hopefully people will come and join us.
Well, that's great.
Yes.
We hope that people enjoy this activity and participate. And so as we're approaching the end of our interview, what advice do you have for those wishing to practice horseback archery?
Right.
And any last words for our audience watching this evening?
Yes, of course. A lot of people may be scared to try this sport. I always say you only live once, so try it. And with having a center that would provide everything for the rider, it's going to be a lot easier for the rider to do it. So I really hope people are more courageous to try this live the rush of this sport.
Great. Do you have some events coming up also?
At the moment, not really, but we still are practicing for any
Future events.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we look forward to that, and keep us updated.
Thank
and
you.
Maryam, we'd like to thank you so much for being our guest this evening. We wish you and everyone at the center all the best of luck in your future endeavors.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. We'd like to thank our distinguished guest, Maryam, a horse archer and member of the Horseback Archery Center, for her time, wishing her and all her colleagues the best of luck in her future endeavors. Right now, we'd like to move on to our next report and take a look at the Palestine Cultural Exhibition. Stay tuned for that.
Hi, my name is Fatin Abu Ghazale. I'm a volunteer in the Palestinian Cultural Center. We're holding our 53rd exhibition in Kuwait since 1990. We're a nonprofit and we have two goals. The first goal is to preserve the very beautiful and rich Palestinian culture, which are the handmade, hand-embroidered clothes that the women used to wear in Palestine before 1948, and they still continue to wear. But it was important for us to help preserve them because the occupation is claiming this tradition. And women are also under being refugees, it's difficult for them to continue to embroider. So we wanted to keep this art form alive. The second goal is to empower women economically. The women that do the embroidery live in the refugee camps in Jordan, and they live in difficult circumstances being refugees. So our goal is to enable them to provide income for them through the embroidery that they do. So we're very, very happy to be continuing this beautiful tradition and also empowering women. And the women in the refugee camps end up doing the following. They share the embroidery with their children so that they teach their children how to embroider, and they also use the money to improve their lives. So maybe they send a child to school, or maybe they fix a kitchen appliance in their homes. So I'd like to speak to you about the exhibition. We are holding it for 4 days. It's from 10 in the morning until 8 in the evening in Dar al Fanoon, who have graciously invited and opened their space for us, and we thank them for that. We have a number of pieces in our exhibition. Of course, we have the Palestinian handcrafted clothes, dresses, we have cushions, we have table runners, we have bookmarks, we have a number of items that we have designed so that this art form stays vibrant and alive. In addition to the hand-embroidered pieces, we also have books. So we've collected books over the years that represent Palestine. Some of them are about Palestinian cross-stitch, some of them are about history, some of them are about politics, and all of those are to tell the story, to ensure that the world knows about Palestine. We also have ceramics that we have ordered from Al-Khalil, which is known as Hebron as well. These ceramics are handmade, and it's important for us to preserve this culture by maintaining this. There's a factory that we want to make sure that the ceramics continue to be manufactured because they're handmade. It's important for us that it doesn't become machine made. It continues to be handmade because this is an art form. And finally, the last section of our exhibition is what we call Taba al-Khair. Taba al-Khair is basically a charity sale. So we have a sale of food, such as a bake sale, such as olive oil, olives. We also have donations from many homes. All of the volunteers have made special Palestinian food, such as msakhan or sfiha, which we're famous for, to donate, or ka'ak with dates that we're selling during the exhibition. We have a number of posters that tell about the statistics and the story of Palestine. And I'd like to end with why this exhibition is called Guardians of Culture. And we feel that in our role as the Palestinian Culture Center, we are protecting and making sure that the culture stays alive. So we're guarding it in that way. And the second reason is we have two founders of the Palestinian Culture Center based in Amman who have passed away, and we would like to honor their legacy. One of them is Siham al-Dabbar, the previous founder, and the other lady is Siham Abu Ghazale, who's actually my mother, who we're honoring today by continuing her legacy with this exhibition. So I'd like to welcome everyone to come and visit us. It's for a good cause and you'll enjoy yourself. Thank you.
Well, we're back right here on Hala Kuwait, and I hope everyone out there is enjoying their evening. Right now we have with us, right here in the studio, we have with us Fatin Abu Ghazala, and she is a spokesperson of Palestine Cultural Exhibition. Good evening, Fatin. Welcome to our program.
Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure
lovely
to have
to
you.
be here. Thank you.
First off, tell us a little bit about the exhibition that we just saw and a little bit about what took place, please.
Sure. So the exhibition is still going on. Tomorrow is the last day. It's being held at Dar al-Fanoon, who have graciously invited us.
A very nice venue.
It is. It's a beautiful, beautiful venue, an old house, old Kuwaiti house. So it's just very warm and inviting. And the exhibition is our 53rd exhibition in Kuwait since 1990. We've been counting them. We hold an exhibition twice a year. And the idea is to let the world know about the Palestinian culture and how rich it is. As you are aware, Tariq, we are under an occupation. So what's happening in Palestine is an occupier has come and claimed our culture. And suddenly, falafel is not Arab. It's, you know, another country. I'm not going to say the name. The clothes are not our clothes anymore. They claim that they're clothes. So they're trying to invent a culture when there really wasn't one. So for us, it became very important as the Palestinian Cultural Center to preserve the culture, you know, to make sure that we reclaim the narrative.
That's one of the main purposes of having these exhibitions.
Absolutely, so that the world knows that. And it's beautiful to have the type of guests that we have. I mean, yesterday I was talking to a couple that came from Serbia, very interested initially very interested in Islamic culture, and then when they saw Palestinian heritage and they came to it, they were, you know, for them it was like very eye-opening. So we have guests from all around the world, and that's exactly, as you said, our purpose. I
have to say, it's always very well organized.
Thank you.
The people there are friendly, receptive to visitors, like you just said, in order to explain to them about the beautiful Palestinian culture. But now tell us a little bit about what can be seen there.
Sure.
And we took a look a little bit about in the report. We've just had some inserts also. Explain to us in depth a little bit more.
Okay, so we have a collection that of new and old.
Great.
So the new are pieces that are more contemporary. They will use colors that were not traditionally used. The colors that were traditionally used were black or indigo. Indigo is navy blue. Red because we had rumman, you know, pomegranate, and we were able to extract from it the colors. So there's some very traditional colors, saffron made yellow. But now you have more modern colors like my dress, which is purple, which is not a traditional Palestinian dress. However, the designs of this dress and other dresses that we have in the exhibition are designed to, you know, entice a newer customer doesn't just want the tradition. This one's a Bethlehem dress, but its interpretation is a modern orange on purple. So you'll find dresses, so thobes of the more traditional kind, and also more contemporary ones, shawls. So there's clothes for women, and the women love that part of the exhibition. We also have a selection of jewelry that we have brought from another nonprofit organization that's trying to preserve traditional silverware that Palestinians used to wear hundreds of years ago. We are also displaying other embroidered items such as cushions and table linens and bookmarks, even fan holders. This is a new piece that we have.
That's nice.
Keychains, wooden boxes, with embroidery
so nice.
on top.
A lot of variety.
A lot of variety for men and women, not just for women.
That's great to hear.
In addition to the embroidery, we also have ceramics, which we've imported from Al Khalil, Hebron in Palestine. So this is one of the few factories that still creates the ceramics by hand. So it's no longer, right now, machine manufactured ceramics is the norm. This factory is still doing it by artisans that have been, learned this tradition from their fathers. So we really want to protect that kind of heritage.
Sure.
So we have ceramics. We also have food. So we bring, of course, Palestine and the whole area, but Palestine specifically is famous for its olive oil and zaytun, olives.
Very tasty cuisine.
Yes, it is a tasty cuisine, but I wish we could claim we were the only ones that had really good food. But
well, many countries have.
Yes, the whole region has beautiful food. But in addition to the olive oil, we have women who have donated baked food from their homes.
Very nice.
Traditional dishes, msakhan, fatayr, sfiha.
It's nice to have that home touch.
Absolutely. So nice. A lot of people come just for the food.
So that maybe tell us about the highlight of the exhibition. One of the highlights.
So the highlight of this exhibition, actually, in fact, the theme of this exhibition is Guardians of the Culture. So one of the things that we've seen is that, well, to be honest, I have to speak about the founder of the, one of the co-founders of the Palestinian Cultural Center. Her name is Siham Abu Ghazali, and yeah, sadly she's passed away. She happens to be my mother.
Yes. May she rest in peace.
May she rest in peace. Thank you. Alhamdulillah, she is. But so what she and all the other ladies in the center in Amman were doing is reintroducing the culture, teaching, women of multi-generations how to do cross-stitch again. Cross-stitch was something that the girls would naturally do. If I was sitting in my farm in Palestine, I'm not from the villages, so we're talking about village citizens. The ladies would sit and they would socialize and sew.
Sure.
So they would sew and speak and tell stories.
Part of the traditions.
And teach each other, exactly.
Sure.
And so, we wanted that to happen again, because when you're in the diaspora and you're a refugee, you lose that part, you lose your identity. So that's why we've taken the term Guardians of the Culture, because we feel that it's very important for us to do that. So that's one of the themes. And in fact, we're very lucky. We just received today in Kuwait this book which she had written. So this is the story that Siham Abu Ghazali, the writer, who was my mother, who's the founder of the organization, one of the co-founders. She's telling the story of how to work as a volunteer in civil society. So it's a story of persevering in civil society, teaching, having a beacon of teaching people about what it is to fight for your rights, what it is to fight for humanity. So this is her story of that. The title is called So to Speak because it's all about tatriz. Tatriz is sewing. Mm-hmm. And, actually cross-stitch is all about storytelling. Every single piece in embroidery, the motifs are meaningful. They're not meaningless. They're not patterns. They actually, each one symbolizes something. And so that's why we say So to Speak. So that's one of our highlights of this exhibition. And it's been lovely to see young children coming and in particular asking for books on embroidery. So we've been asked, get us some books on embroidery. What do the motifs mean? How do we do them? So there's a young generation, and I'm going to say mostly Kuwaiti young girls who are asking us, we want to learn. We are embroidering, we're taking lessons. Tell us what these pieces mean, show us the motifs, and do that.
Nice
so we've sold out of these books. I'm so happy to see that.
Great.
It's really beautiful. It's a very uplifting experience. So when you said everyone's happy and cheerful, it's because we're all volunteers and we're working for a great cause that Kuwait has always supported. And I'm speaking as a Kuwaiti of Palestinian origin. I am so proud to be from a country that has always been a beacon of light in this area.
And I know you and yourself and the team and everyone and the volunteers, you're trying to keep the Palestinian culture and identity alive through having these various exhibitions right here in the state of Kuwait. And you touched on it a little bit. Elaborate a little bit more about how these exhibitions are put together. I mean, it's a lot of effort. It takes a lot of logistics and planning and organizing and teamwork, right?
Absolutely. So actually, this is a smaller exhibition because the venue that we're in, which is beautiful, but it's not as our larger exhibitions usually end with a Debka night. This is where we have hundreds and hundreds of people show up. So inshallah, in March, we're planning for a large exhibition. I can't say where the venue is, but we're waiting.
Keep us updated.
We will keep you updated, inshallah. So they are a lot of logistics. So we get our things from Jordan, we get some things from Palestine, the food, it's on its way. We've just ordered this year's. So right now in November in Palestine, between October and November is where they pick the olives. So this is kind of a celebration. November is a very significant month because of that. Usually schools in the old days would close, the kids would go and help pick up the olives. It's labor intensive. So we've just ordered and it's coming to Kuwait right now. So I'm really happy. I was sent the message that it's on the way.
That's good.
So things like that, za'atar, cheese, things that summa, which is a spice. So all of these we're really happy to be able to bring. So there is logistics of that. The books is another one that's logistically a challenge because we're always looking for the latest books that are published. So we have storytelling, we have stories, we have history books and political books, and then, as I mentioned, a lot of tatriz related books because that's one of our themes. We also usually have a section that focuses on hot topics. So this year there's 3 topics that we've chosen. One of them is this thing called Generation Z, Generation Z, whichever way you say it. And it's about the Kurd family. So there's a Kurd twins. This is a family in the Sheikh Jarrah neighborhood in East Jerusalem that the Israelis are trying to evict from their homes. And their homes are inherited for hundreds of years. You know, these are their homes. And these two young kids started a social media movement, hashtag Save Sheikh Jarrah. And it went viral, and the Israelis were just suddenly, you know, gaslighted. They couldn't do anything about that. So we wanted to give them, you know, honor this generation that really changed things.
Yes.
These two young kids and everyone around them.
Sure.
It wasn't just them alone. Another one that we focused on, for example, is a NASA scientist who was originally attended an UNRWA school from Gaza. So UNRWA is a UN relief agency schools. So these are really not great schools, but this young man studied and school, did really well, then went to college, got a scholarship, had 3 jobs to put himself to get whatever advanced degree that he has. I think he has a PhD in aeronautic engineering.
Amazing.
And he's on the team that created a helicopter that flew to Mars, actually successfully.
It's a great accomplishment.
And what he said, he's quoted to say the following. He said, "It was easier for me to fly a helicopter to Mars than it was for me to go home to Gaza." So, you know, we wanted to focus on these humane stories. One of the ones is about the prisoners that, with their spoons, dug a hole and escaped from prison. And they've been quoted to say that those few days outside in liberty were the happiest days of their lives because they felt human again.
I'm sure.
So those are some of the themes that we're focusing on in our exhibition.
Well, it's an amazing exhibition.
Thank
It's
you.
a pleasure to have you this evening with us right here on Hala Kuwait. Do you have any last comments or words for the audience watching the program this evening?
Just keep visiting. We have an Instagram page which is Palestinian CC, and we welcome people to follow it because we update with all our news. We'll be sharing some stories about, you know, the embroidery, and we have 550 women that live off of what we do. These women are paid hands. You know, we pay them in a formula of 1/3 of everything that we do goes to the woman. So we pay them very well because we want them to live in dignity. Another third is paid for the materials that we use, and we use very good quality materials because we want our children to inherit the pieces that we make. And the last third we donate to charities in Palestine, whether it's a school or whether it's an orphanage or some other organization. So by visiting the exhibitions that we hold and by following us on our page, you know, you just help in, you know, spreading this culture and making the world know that these are a people that have a culture that is very vibrant, very rich, and that will return to their home one day.
Inshallah, and it's a pleasure to have you with us this evening. And thank you for coming and shedding some light on the event. And we wish you and all your colleagues and friends and volunteers all the best of luck in your future endeavors and the next exhibition coming up in March. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a very nice evening. We'd like to thank our guest, Fatin Abu Ghazala, spokesperson of Palestine Cultural Exhibition, for her time. Wishing her all the best of luck in her future endeavors. Right now, let's move on to our next report, and it's the World Health Organization Awareness Report. Stay tuned.
We spend around 15,000 hours inside the school gates completing our primary and secondary education. Schools are our second homes. They are where we grow up, learn, make friends, hope for the future, and try to fulfill our potential. Governments and schools should have policies and resources focusing on ensuring all students fulfill their right to quality education, health, and well-being. This means schools must be founded on principles of democracy, equity, and promote values and practices which prioritize health and well-being. School leaders should involve their students in decision-making. And teachers, parents, and community leaders should work together to promote the health and well-being of all students. Teachers should teach students life skills to help them make healthy choices, not only care about their grades. Schools must foster an atmosphere of friendship, understanding, tolerance, and empathy, where nobody gets ridiculed, excluded, threatened, or hurt because of differences in gender, ethnicity, family status, or exam scores. School environments must be safe and healthy, free from tobacco products, drugs, alcohol, and unhealthy food. They should have facilities for physical exercise, play, water, and sanitation. Students should have access to quality health services, including regular health checkups, psychological support, and mental health services. In summary, all schools should be health-promoting schools. When students are healthy, they learn better and have brighter futures. This vision is set out in the Global Standards on Health-Promoting Schools, which call for a change from scattered, isolated interventions to a whole school and whole education system approach to promoting health and well-being. From principals and teachers to parents or government officials, we must all do more to ensure every school becomes a health-promoting school.
Batul Dawi, Public Health Specialist from the World Health Organization in Kuwait. Good evening, Batul.
Evening, Rita. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to have you with us this evening. To start out, tell us more about the International Day for Eradication of Poverty.
The International Day for Eradication of Poverty is observed every year on the 17th of October. Since 1992, when the UN General Assembly adopted it to embrace and promote a global understanding of what really poverty means and to mobilize people as agents to eradicate poverty. It's really difficult to talk about poverty. It's a very complex concept that really extends beyond what we intuitively as people would think it would just be income poverty, but really poverty encompasses hunger, it encompasses other forms of injustices.
Of course, and it's really important to have a day where awareness is created over this issue. As you said, a lot is involved when it comes to poverty. It's not just about food or the things that we might think of right away. So, Batul, what is the theme of this year's day?
This theme this year, the theme is building forward together, ending persistent poverty, respecting all people and our planet. So at the UN, we often talk about building back better, especially in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic. We talk about taking this as an opportunity to accelerate momentum towards realizing the Sustainable Development Goals. But I think this theme for the Poverty Eradication Day is very, very powerful in that it's very inclusive. It doesn't draw a line between the people under deprived conditions. It doesn't draw a line between them and us, but that we're all in this together.
I think that's really important, and that's such a nice way we can say to put it, especially for the theme this year. So with poverty already, things are pretty hard, but how did the COVID-19 pandemic affect poverty all over the world?
So according to a World Bank report, the COVID crisis has driven an additional approximately 167 million people into poverty. This is on top of the 1.3 billion that already existed under situations of deprivation. So COVID is a huge health crisis. And when you talk about health, you think about the social determinants of health. And these are factors that shape an individual's health outcomes. So you think about education, you think about income. So you think about their social support systems, you think about their access to food, their access to healthcare. And so considering COVID and the very strict measures that were imposed upon us all in COVID, you would really logically reach the conclusion that the impoverished were came into this pandemic at a very vulnerable, at a very disadvantaged
Yes.
position. So they weren't able to really quarantine, a lot of them, because they lived in a very densely populated residential compounds, a lot of them.
That's right.
They also, their jobs are usually in sectors where they can't really afford to not go to work. They may work in farming, or they may work in warehouses where they don't really have the option of quarantining in a safe house. They would have
Yes.
to commute to their workplaces and would not really have the option of physically distancing at all.
That's right. These issues have finally come to an end when it comes to COVID-19 and poverty, or are they still dealing with the same COVID-19 issues today?
Definitely. I mean, it will take us a lot of years to recover from this pandemic.
Yes.
It has set us back significantly in terms of reaching developmental goals. And I mean, there are a lot of countries all over the world still they haven't reached a sufficient coverage for full economic reopening.
Of course. So how can poverty be controlled or even eradicated at this point?
Well, that's a very complex issue to tap into because, as you can see, poverty is extremely multidimensional, and it covers many structural, many social and environmental inequities. But I like to think of it because Kuwait, we live in a very humanitarian state, and Kuwait is very generous, and Kuwait has a very expansive reach to support other countries in their developmental goals. So I'd like to start from here. So let's think about Kuwait's aid initiative. So we support a lot of countries through aid programs. So one way to help them eradicate poverty is to ensure that investment in aid is sustainable, that we are supporting sustainable systems, whether they're social systems or environmental or infrastructure, that we're supporting something that will remain, not something that is standalone. So to increase economic growth, to increase job creation, we need to consider legislative framework that would attract foreign investments and promote technical transfer without really incurring a cost on people living in those countries. So our approach to aid has to be gender sensitive, sensitive to the context of that country, to what they are invested in terms of their industries. And there are other ways, really. The other ways we could do at even at a country level, at the level of Kuwait, we can invest in health systems that are more environmentally friendly. We can ensure that we deliver on our commitments to environmental goals and climate change agreements. And at a very personal level, we can ensure that our consumption patterns are sustainable, that we don't splurge, that we sensitize our kids and our little ones to engage in practices such as recycling, to ensure that they are sensitive to the environment.
I think what you mentioned finally was really important, is just to make sure our children are aware, so that hopefully in the future they're able to help in small things that they can do, as you said, recycling, which starts at home. Batul, do you have any final words or advice that you would like to tell our viewers about this International Day?
Just really to say to always reflect on our personal practices and always engage in thinking about the others, trying to really speak with other people about their lived experiences and not assume a lot. And in our small ways, we can contribute to the eradication of poverty.
Thank you so much for all the information you have given us this evening,
Thank
Batul.
you, Rita. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Dear viewers, we had with us Batul Dawi, Public Health Specialist from the World Health Organization in Kuwait. And up next is a report from the Scientific Center. Please stay tuned.
Hello and welcome, dear viewers. This is Mohammed Blouchi. Currently, we are at the Scientific Center to explore the amazing sections they have. Dear viewers, please stay tuned and hope you enjoy the report. One of the most amazing and important things at the Discovery Place that you can try yourself, things that remind you that your health comes first. Either you're a child or an adult. For example, we have the calorie cycle, we have the heartbeat drum, and also we have the pinball of the stomach. So all those things you can follow and it can aware you of your health and your safety. We just arrived to the Discovery Village as we have a car garage and an animal hospital for your dear children to explore. And now we reach the coastal edge, which includes fishes and also creatures like birds, and also the amazing unflying type of birds, which is penguins. Let's go and see it. And now we arrived to the sea zone, also known as the aquarium, which includes a lot of amazing sea creatures and especially a lot of types and sizes of fish. Let's go and see them, dear viewers. Dear viewers, we just reached the end of our amazing adventure at the Scientific Center. Hope you enjoyed our adventure. Stay safe and good night.
لا ينام من أجلك. التزم لتسلم أنت ومن تحب. التزم من أجل أن تعيش ويعيش الوطن بسلام. التزم لنعبر هذه المحنة والشدة معا. التزم لتعود الحياة جميلة كما كانت. أرجوك التزم، كلنا مسؤولون.
In December 2019, there was a cluster of pneumonia cases in China. Investigations found that it was caused by a previously unknown virus, now named the 2019 novel coronavirus. In this video, we'll take a quick look at what's currently known about the virus. Keep in mind that this is a new virus, and what's known about the virus now might change in the future. Coronaviruses are a large group of viruses. They consist of a core of genetic material surrounded by an envelope with protein spikes. This gives it the appearance of a crown. Crown in Latin is called corona, and that's how these viruses get their name. There are different types of coronaviruses that cause respiratory and sometimes gastrointestinal symptoms. Respiratory disease can range from the common cold to pneumonia, and in most people, the symptoms tend to be mild. However, there are some types of coronaviruses that can cause severe disease. These include the severe acute respiratory syndrome coronavirus, first identified in China in 2003, and the Middle East respiratory syndrome coronavirus that was first identified in Saudi Arabia in 2012. The 2019 novel coronavirus was first identified in China. It initially occurred in a group of people with pneumonia who'd been associated with a seafood and live animal market in the city of Wuhan. The disease has since spread from those who were sick to others, including family members and healthcare staff. There are many cases at present, and the disease has spread within China and also to a number of other countries. So, where did the virus come from? It's known that coronaviruses circulate in a range of animals. Sometimes these viruses can make the jump from animals to humans. This is called a spillover and could be due to a range of factors, such as mutations in the virus or increased contact between humans and animals. For example, MERS-CoV is known to be transmitted from camels and SARS-CoV from civet cats. The animal reservoir of the 2019 novel coronavirus is not known yet. How is it transmitted? The exact dynamics of how the virus is transmitted is yet to be determined. In general, respiratory viruses are usually transmitted through droplets created when an infected person coughs or sneezes, or through something that has been contaminated with the virus. People most at risk of infection from the novel coronavirus are those in close contact with animals, such as live animal market workers, and those who are caring for people infected with the virus, such as family members or healthcare workers. So, how does the disease present? Well, from what is known so far, there can be a number of symptoms ranging from mild to severe. There can be fever and respiratory symptoms such as cough and shortness of breath. In more severe cases, there's been pneumonia, kidney failure, and death. The mortality rate is not known yet. How can we tell whether someone is infected? The infection can be diagnosed by a test called PCR, or polymerase chain reaction. This test identifies the virus based on its genetic fingerprint. There's currently no specific medication for the virus, and treatment is supportive care. There's currently no vaccine to protect against the virus. Treatment and vaccines are in development. How do we prevent transmission of the virus? This new virus currently has a limited geographic spread. However, there are a number of standard hygiene practices that have been recommended to protect against infection and further spread. These include covering your mouth and nose when coughing or sneezing with a medical mask, tissue, or flexed elbow, avoiding close contact with those who are unwell, the appropriate use of masks and personal protective equipment, especially in a healthcare setting, washing hands regularly with soap and water or alcohol-based hand rub. Actions that can be taken to prevent infection from an animal source include avoiding unnecessary unprotected contact with animals, washing hands after contact with animals or animal products, and ensuring that animal products are cooked thoroughly before they're consumed. It's important to stay home if you're feeling unwell, but if you have a fever, cough, and difficulty breathing, seek medical care early and share your previous travel history with your healthcare provider. That's a quick look at this emerging infectious disease. Given that this outbreak is evolving rapidly, what's known about this virus can change. Please check the websites below for the most up-to-date info.
Well, we're back right here on Hala Kuwait, and we have with us right now Dr. Hassan Aziz, plastic and cosmetic surgeon, specialized in burns, restoration, and plastic surgery. Good evening, Dr. Hassan.
Hello, good evening, Bob. Thank
Welcome.
you. Thank you very
Welcome
much
to
for
our
the
program. I know you have a very busy schedule. We appreciate your time.
Thank you. No
Thank
problem.
you. Thank you. Dr. Hassan, tell us a little bit about your field, a little bit about yourself, sir.
Okay. So, I've been graduated from the Royal College of Surgeons in Ireland, and then I did my specialty in Germany, and then I did my fellowship in Canada, and I traveled the world from Australia to Canada, so you can pick up any country during that
That's a lot of countries in
yeah.
between there.
Exactly, yeah. And currently I'm the head of the burn unit at the government hospital, and I own the clinic as a New Care. And I'm also the program director for the plastic surgery program here in Kuwait, and Kuwait University teacher for the students.
MashaAllah,
this is a little about it.
You have a very busy schedule, so we really do appreciate your time with us this evening.
Thank you. Thank
so
you.
tell us, in your opinion, doctor, how can someone pick the right surgeon for themselves for different surgeries that they may want?
Of course. Nowadays, we can see a lot of people are going to do a lot of cosmetic procedures. However, there are people who are specialized in this field, and there are people who are not specialized in this field. What I would like to say is, ask your surgeon and ask the clinic, is this surgeon qualified to do these operations or not?
And you have the right to ask.
You have the right,
as
of
a
course,
patient,
of course.
what degree
And
he has or she has,
yes,
correct?
Yes, you have the right. It's not a shame, or it's not something that you should be afraid when you ask your doctor about his qualifications. And also the medical license department, they supply you with these information if you like. And a lot of people, they don't know this, that the medical license department, they supply you any information about this doctor, whether he's safe to do this procedure or not, whether he's specialized in this field or not. Because a lot of surgeons, they advertise themselves as a plastic surgeons because they're a surgeon per se.
Yes.
However,
not the
plastic surgery is different field.
Sure.
Plastic surgery deal with 5 subspecialties. We deal with burns, we deal with the hand surgery, we do with reconstruction and post-traumatic and post-cancer. And in October, we are the breast cancer awareness.
Yes.
So we are the right people who are doing the breast reconstruction after the removal of the breast tissues. Plus, we do cosmetics and pediatrics. So these are the 5 fields of plastic surgery. So the people who are doing only cosmetic, or the people who are only doing one field of this, they may be not specialized in the plastic surgery, but they are a surgeon who is, let's say, have interest in doing hand surgery or doing cosmetic surgery. So it's better to get to know your doctor and your surgeon and do little research before you apply for a procedure.
Very well said. That's a very important advice for any patient out there looking to do any procedure.
Right.
So tell us a little bit now about some of the rights and wrongs when it comes to procedures, doctor.
Exactly. So when you go to your surgeon, make sure that you spend at least 10 minutes with him. Okay? The usual time for consultation, according to international papers and international researches, especially for cosmetic procedure, where there are a lot of pits and falls, where there are some complications that may be expected, especially for people who are repeating the procedure again and again. So these people have to stay enough time with the surgeon, and the surgeon have to stay enough time with them to clarify a lot of issues before he tell them, okay, go for surgery, go pay the bill, tomorrow is your surgery. And this is also the responsibility for the patient to spend time with the doctor. If he spend only 2 or 3 minutes, he should know that something wrong is going there. So what's right is you spend enough time with your surgeon. What's wrong is when you listen to the procedure and you go do the surgery.
So it shouldn't be like that. The patient, so there should be some questions. So what questions should the patients ask their doctor before the procedure?
Yeah.
What should they ask? What should they look for when they want to do a cosmetic procedure?
Okay, so they should ask, for example, how many cases you did like this? Do you have any problem with your cases? For example, for my size or for my age or for my medical condition, are there any increased risks or danger for me? Rather than telling, yeah, this is bread and butter, this is something easy, I can just cut and suture and finish, because it's different. And we saw this very clearly in Corona period. When they allowed the plastic surgery procedures, they allowed in a lot of levels before we reach now a day allowance. So they started with the people, let's say, with the body mass index of less than 28, and the age is less than 50, and there is no comorbidities like diabetes, hypertension, or any dangerous chronic conditions or autoimmune. And then with these, we understand that plastic surgery is not for everyone. It's for people who are really healthy in the body and healthy in minds, because also we have a lot of people, they are doing a plastic surgery because they have issues in the mind. Yes. And we send a lot of people for psychiatry before we reach them, especially for the facial procedure, because these are the big issues that the people will do and stigma about it. And they will sign and they will say, who did your surgery? This is the first question.
Right.
Whether if it's good or bad.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is an important thing, and it seems to be a trend where a lot of people want to do a lot of procedures now.
Exactly.
Especially in our area and worldwide, for that matter, doctor.
Exactly. And that was also something controlled by the Ministry of Health.
Yeah.
That in this period, you're not allowed to spend more than, let's say, 5 hours for procedure, because if you spend more than that, you will require an intensive care unit admission. Sure. You will need a lot of bloods to give for the patient. You need a lot of effort, and these efforts should be saved for the sick people, not for the cosmetic surgery people who you make them sick because of the long time operation that you do for them.
It's a cosmetic procedure. It's not like a life and death necessity that needed to be done.
Exactly. And I hope that this is a clear message for the patient. Do not insist on your doctor to do a lot of procedures in one day or in one setting. Don't tell your doctor that I'm going under the knife once, or I want to finish everything now.
Some of them, they feel impatient.
Exactly.
They just want to do it all and then take a few weeks, recover, and then they're done.
Exactly. But if your doctor thinks it is not safe for you, believe him, because he's the right guy to advise you,
man
and
or
not
woman.
to search through Google, because we did not learn from Google. So you should do your research through Google, but take the information from your doctor, because he's the correct one.
Very well said, doctor. And so tell us about some of the difficulties, challenges that you may face in some of your work, doctor.
So a lot of our challenges is divided into 2 sides. For me, personally, when we are dealing with major burns, for example, what happened with the people they brought from Lebanon
Yes.
in the last explosion. So there are people who were mismanaged there, and they came here, and we have a lot of issues to deal with them and to try to correct.
Sure.
Some of these issues are correctables and some are not.
So
and we
permanent
lost,
damage
and
was
we
done.
lost one of these patients because of the
that's a
bad
shame.
management
Yeah.
was done there. However, we succeed with the other 5. And 4 of them already left the country, and
Great.
1 is staying with us to optimize him before he goes.
Okay.
However, our difficulties, apart from the burns, is when the people are doing the surgery with a surgeon that is not qualified, or the surgeon who's doing the surgery is refusing to give the patient an operation report so that the other surgeon knows what was done for the patient.
So what does that mean, operation report? It just means
It's
what
like-
you did in the
yeah,
operation?
what you did in the operation.
Okay.
Exactly, because sometimes the patient, they don't understand. For example, if they are having prosthesis and they don't know the safety of this prosthesis, or they don't know the company, or they don't know the manufacturer. And as we know, 10 years ago, there was a big issue about a French company who invented a breast prosthesis, and the silicone material there was industrial and not medical. And what we deal in our field, it's purely medical. And all the companies who did all the researches for these super safe material, when we deal with them inside the body, it should be medically tested and not industrially tested.
So those things turned out to be not safe then, huh?
It is not safe, and a lot
And so
of
people did it, and then they have to have their surgeons remove it later, correct?
if they know.
If they even know.
Yeah, the
That's
problem
the
is these people, although a lot of doctors, and I do believe in that, I'm sure about this, a lot of doctors, they give like a small passport for all patients who have any implant in their body. And it's like a small card or a small like passport with the name of the of the company, the size of the material, and the manufacturer, and the
Okay.
date of expiry.
All right.
Because they usually, we try to use things that not expired. However, if they expire inside the body, the company will cover them for life, or for 10 years or 15 years. It depends on the things that we implanted in the body.
Okay, that's a very good point, doctor. And maybe you could tell us a little bit about some of the most successful procedures that you've been a part of, doctor. I know you have a specialty, especially when it comes to the face and so forth.
Exactly, exactly.
And also dealing with other
so
things.
a lot,
So tell us.
Yeah, a lot of our successful reconstruction procedures is when we deal with the big surface area burns. So especially when it's involving the face and the hands, and these are super challenging. So you have to understand what is called the aesthetic unit of the face, and you have to understand exactly that each and every single area in the face have its own function. So you cannot put, like in the arm or on the legs, you can put just a skin graft here and you're finished and that's it. However, for the face, you need something only for the eyes, you need something only for the nose, you need something only around the mouth.
There's a lot of contouring too,
exactly,
right?
Exactly. And even how you, let's say, design and how you implement your design is very important, because anything is not well setted in the field of the aesthetic unit, you will have a problem 100%. And especially we see that when the mouth is getting too small, or when the eyes are not closing properly.
And these things can happen.
These things can happen, and they are corrected.
Okay.
It can be correctable.
All right.
So, yeah.
So tell us a little bit more about your work that you do on the face and so forth. I know you're a very skilled surgeon with a lot of experience.
Exactly.
And, so tell us more.
So our field, usually in the face, we do everything from the hair to the chin.
Okay.
So we talk about forehead lift, we talk about eyebrow lift, we talk about upper and lower eyelid lift, we talk about facelift, neck lift, rhinoplasty, and the bullhorn smile, and we do also the otoplasty, is the correction of the prominent ears.
Okay.
And plus any reconstruction when there is like skin tumors in the face, or skin tumors in the mouth, or skin tumors in the tongue or in the bone. we need to reconstruct these area. Of course, with the colleagues, that what we call it is a multidisciplinary team approach. We have people from the ENT, we have people from maxillofacial, we have people from rehabilitation, we have people from even palliative. So they have, and plus physiotherapists and occupation therapists.
So you all work together to try to get the patient come out with the best looking and
it is not the work
success.
of one man. It is a full team.
Yeah, that's the most important thing. I think whenever it's team, things always come out successfully.
Exactly.
And I mean, and there's so many procedures going. I think social media and so forth has also affected people who want to do a lot of procedures also, doctor.
Exactly, yeah, yeah. But also the social media is a weapon of, let's say, two exits.
Yeah, it has pluses and minuses.
It has plus and minus. So you have to be sure that you don't believe everything and do not underestimate a lot of things. So if the surgeon is showing his real cases, don't be bothered about the color of the scar or even the level of the scar, because not all people are the same. And you may have the best scar in the world, and your sister or your brother or your sibling have the worst scar in the world, because each and every single one have his own genes, and these genes control your scar formation and not the doctor. Okay, I am sure that when you go out from the surgery and the scar is tilted 90 degrees, this is a problem of the surgeon.
Sure.
But if the scar is straight, and then after a year or after 6 months, you see it is irregular, or it's more colored, or it is even becoming large and large and large, you have to understand this is something in your genetics, not in the doctor.
Yeah, so genes play a role in a lot of different things.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, so that's something you could always explain to the patient so they're aware of this.
We do, of course, yeah. When we do our consent is very precise.
Okay.
And we do explain everything to the patient from, let's say, the first day he entered the surgery until the first year when he finished the surgery. And he have to understand that we need to see him at least a month after surgery, 3 months after surgery.
Yeah, there's a clear outline.
6 months after surgery, and up to 1 year. And then you can disappear. Never do your surgery and disappear by yourself.
Of course,
because anything will happen, it will not cover you.
Yeah, you have to follow up and.
Yeah,
so
a lot of people, they are happy about the result and they disappear, and they come after 1 year and they say, okay, I have a problem. So where are you?
Where were you during this period?
Exactly. Yes.
Doctor, it's a pleasure to have you with us. Do you have any last bit of advice, comments, what information that you'd like to share with our audience this evening?
Of course, yeah. I'd like to tell everyone that we are coming on a new season where winter and the outdoor and the tenting and the desert camping and things. Please be careful about yourself and about your kids. All the injuries are preventable by taking care. So please take care. Cover any dangerous source, from heat, from electricity, from sharp, from even if it's like, let's say, like a glass or the motorcycles, for example. So you need
the buggies and everything.
Yes, protect yourself and pay attention. That's it.
Very well said, Doctor. We appreciate your time. And I told you, you'll be able to leave soon to go watch your team, Manchester United, in their football game.
Yes. Hopefully we will win today.
Wish you all the best of luck in that game.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for coming this evening. I know you're very busy. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We are speaking to Dr. Hassan Aziz, a plastic and cosmetic surgeon, a well-known surgeon right here in the state of Kuwait. We thank him very much for his valuable time and insight with us this evening right here on Hala Kuwait. Right now we'd like to move on to our next report, and it's dealing with our beautiful heritage right here in the state of Kuwait. It's titled Kuwait's Heritage. Stay tuned.
Many of the popular professions have not been scientifically documented in a systematic manner. There are interrelated occupations that do not differentiate between them, as well as terms that do not distinguish between them. Perhaps because a number of these professions have changed their image and concept over time. One of these professions is the profession of the coppersmith, or lapidarist, which was the saffar in old Kuwait. The term safar is also derived from the process of purifying the copper and brass pots and utensils. The name safar, or the craft of coppersmith, is derived from polishing the yellow brass, which is an alloy of copper and zinc. The coppersmith's job in the old days was to polish people's copper and brass-made household articles and shine them as new. The coppersmith was the one who made the copper tools in the past. A safar, or the lapidarist, manufactured cooking utensils and products in which food was mainly placed, such as pots, pans, trays, mugs, jugs, and copper plates. The method of making copper tools included cutting, molding, heating, and welding into shape. Copper, when exposed to water, tends to form copper oxide, a green layer formed above copper, a toxic substance which leads to poisoning if mixed with food. This problem led to the emergence of a new specialty, done by the coppersmith specializing in copper bleaching profession, which was known locally as the El-Saffar. The profession of copper bleaching by coppersmiths was the profession of removing rust off copper pots coated with lead, an ancient profession practiced in many Arabian Gulf countries, especially in Old Kuwait. In Kuwait, there were two types of coppersmiths, some of which had their own shops in a small market. There were also coppersmiths that walked the neighborhoods, yelling out their profession by name, wandering around the streets and houses calling out Al-Saffar. In certain seasons, especially before the month of Ramadan, to attract customers and earn their living by polishing their utensils. The distillation or bleaching process was divided into two stages. The first was preparation of the bowl for bleaching, and the second, the process of firing shot. In both processes, ammonia or ammonium chloride, which is in the form of white crystalline powder, was used to break up the ammonia at heating. Hydrogen chloride, which was effective against metal oxides and other impurities, was rubbed on the surface of the metal, and a lead solvent was used to paint the copper. The purpose of the preparation or cleaning of the container was to remove the green layer formed by the oxidation process, as well as removing the old corroded lead layer. The process was labor-intensive and arduous, considered one of the heaviest jobs and exhausting to the coppersmith. The coppersmith would stand for hours moving his body to the left and the right in a dance-like movement. This movement is not exclusive to the Safarin in Kuwait, but also practiced by the other Gulf blacksmiths. This dance was engraved in the popular memory of many Kuwaitis. However, Al-Saffar continued to practice another profession associated with these utensils, which is the profession of polishing, bleaching, and yellowing the copper. Also, some of the coppersmiths practiced the manufacturing of pots with other materials and emerged the profession of tannak.
After a long vacation, my mother wakes me up. I get ready to go to school. My mother prepares my stuff and puts on what I need in the day. My father, who's always keen on our safety, is driving me to school. He sits me in the back and never moves before I fasten the seatbelt. When I arrive at school, they measure my temperature. If it's okay, I'm allowed into the school. I greet my friends from a distance. We talk, laugh, and joke. Before I enter the classroom, I sanitize my hands and make sure I'm wearing the face mask the right way. In the classroom, they check our temperatures once again. When I need anything, I tell the teacher. And I don't use other things for our health and safety. Now it's the end of the school day. We leave in quiet and order to find a policeman in the street to protect us and keep traffic in order. Everyone is there for our health and safety.
Well, we're back right here on Hala Kuwait, and I hope you've been enjoying tonight's program so far. The great interviews, as well as our amazing reports, especially the last one dealing with our heritage right here in the state of Kuwait. A lot of variety this evening, Rita, on our program.
Yes, so much, from the World Health Organization to the doctor you just interviewed.
Surgeon, yes.
Exactly, I
and
think.
as well as horse archery at the top of our show. I was not even familiar with that activity, and it sounds so interesting. Our producers try their best to bring you a lot of different variety right here on the program, and different guests, and a lot of reports right here on Hala Kuwait, Rita.
Definitely, as you said, especially with the horse archery, that was very special, something we weren't aware of. So our producers are doing amazing. And Tariq, thank you so much. It was my pleasure joining you this evening.
My pleasure, as always, to join you on the program Hala Kuwait. And with that, we come to the end of tonight's episode. Make sure to enjoy the rest of your viewing this evening and all throughout the week right here on KTV2, the family channel. Before we leave you, remember to always take care of yourselves and each other. And let's always remember to respect one another. Have a nice evening, and good night for now.